Once upon a time, I was not quiet. Now, by quiet, I may not talk very much. Can you imagine it?
No.
A guy like me, who is moderately quiet, was once a hyperactive kid who was not afraid to voice himself. Dear Toastmasters members and guests, this is a story of a man who journeyed through life from a rowdy, naughty boy to a quiet man and aspires to be loud again. Ever since I was born, I was at the center of attention in the family and relative circle. I was the golden child, and sisters and cousins would compete just to play with me, while adults would treat me well and spoil me. As the youngest in the family, I did not have any responsibilities, as parents were not strict towards me. I could do anything I want as a kid. And while I was spoiled and served to please myself most of the time, I was also this bright and lively kid who brought life and joy to others. Now, at the age of 5, my family moved to Australia, except Dad stayed in Taiwan to work and support the family. I was still this rowdy and naughty kid at home, but was more reserved at school, probably due to culture shock. I was still this funny and wacky Ben, so people in general loved me. But I heard from school reports saying I was hard to control and a bit disorderly in class. So I guess there were still elements of me at school. Then, fast forward a few years, Mum got sick and passed away when I was 13. So growing up as a teenager without Mum was a very hazy period of my life. On one side of the coin, I appeared to feel nothing on the inside, and life seemed to move on as if nothing happened. I felt fine and was quite content with myself. On the other side of the coin, I probably was depressed and emotionally repressed. I felt numb on the inside and didn't feel anything, nor was I able to express my feelings to anyone. I believe this is when I started to quieten down on the inside. Nevertheless, I will still talk, especially with family and friends. During university years, my life was at its lowest. I isolated myself more and more and quieted down a lot. My grades were slumping and I was on the verge of getting kicked out of university. I was in fear of the lack of a future, no job, etc. Somehow, I found the motivation in me to not give up and fight for my future. I followed the request of the university and sought the help of counselors and helpers. I started to get my life straight. During this period, I also ignited my love for God and sought a better spiritual life. I sought God with all my heart and went through a lot of personal growth. My life became brighter as a result. I guess I started to become louder too. But that was not the end of the story. At the age of 28, God wanted me to come back to Taiwan to discover my new self. It was not easy. God made me go through a lot of discipline and taught me how to communicate with people. In the first 3 years, I overcame my past habits of isolation, communication problems, wasting time and living a slow and comfortable life. Thus, I turned around my quietness to a large degree, but there was still room for improvement. For the next 3 years, I stalled and stopped improving. Then, within the last 1.5 years, I decided to get right with God and have been on an overall uphill since. I became louder a little more. However, I still find myself to be too quiet. I wish to bring out the loudness I once had. Christmas brings us together and lets us celebrate who we are, the good and the bad. But let's not forget to also embrace change. We all have a past, but we all have the chance to turn our lives around for the better. Like me, you can also hope for a better and brighter future, no longer defined by our past shortfalls, but instead become who we are made to be. Toastmasters of the evening.